Hello. Hello. It's Thursday, March 28th, 2024. Welcome to The Rector. So when I was born. So in our last little video, we were talking about the basics, the five senses, and trying to sort of remember how it all began. It's like being in kindergarten again. As you move forward in this, it's really just about getting back to zero. In other words, it's like a restart. Reverse engineering everything that you've been indoctrinated into. It's like reverse indoctrination. Over the course of your life, and getting back to just your basic five senses. And then we got to survive. Not forgetting stuff that was really useful, or things that were good for learning, good tradesmith kind of stuff that was good for life. You don't want to forget about everything because there's foundation. There's lots of good stuff that you learned early on, rebirth, and there's lots of stuff that absolutely is not true. And so the reason for me making these videos pretty short and simple up front is trying to lay a broad foundation. And we talked about the senses, the five senses in the last video, and the possibility of a sixth sense, which I believe is very much there, a very underused brain muscle that we don't use, but we'll get to that later. Right now, what we want to talk about is how do we move forward out of taking everything down to your five senses, back to zero, and starting anew, using the good stuff that you learned along the way, and scrapping all the bullshit, kick the tires and fight the liars, that was useless and was perhaps nefarious along the way. So I'm going to introduce a couple of topics in this video, but we're not going to cover them until the next video, which is these are topics that even took me a lot of years to understand. But locking the math. We're going to tackle usurpation, locking the math teacher, and we're going to tackle inversion. And we're going to tackle basically how to live with the good stuff that you learned along the way, and erasing indoctrination, the stuff that's useless, the baggage or nefarious, complete indoctrination and utter nonsense that's been plastered onto you since the time you were an infant, since the time you started looking around, smelling, tasting, touching, all that stuff. That's all still valuable, and and then we're going to expand. It's going to make a lot more sense, stepping off the cliff here. As long as we have a good foundation set up, metamorphosis, we can talk about these other things, because we can always go back and say, hey, what did we see? What happened? Is it an apple or an orange? Do you trust your instincts, or did you slough off your responsibility of what you actually saw to somebody else, and because they say it's so, then it must be so, as opposed to what you actually see? So usurption is going to be a big topic. We're also going to cover sigil magic. I've heard it pronounced a couple ways. Sigil, casino magic, which are basically your eyes. Your eyes naturally are trained to see movement. Okay, and this is really valuable, especially if you're walking through, say, an outdoors environment at night. You see something move in the bushes, your eyes trained to it, and it helps you survive, because it could be a predator, say. Well, this is a good thing, but it's also been been taken advantage of by means of the television set. In other words, the designers know that human reaction to movement with your eyes, you will automatically divert your attention to it. And that can be a good thing. It also can be a bad thing. And it's used nefariously in advertising. It's used nefariously in television overall. So we're going to get to sigil magic. And then once we get past sigil magic, we're going to work up to usurpation, which is that's a tough one to tackle if you've never tackled it before. But that's for the next video. So we will chat soon. Thanks for popping by. Is this a picture? Is this a picture of a dog or a duck? Is it a dog or a duck? It's a dog. It's a dog.